All right, good morning and welcome to the How Can I Support My Child series. It is Friday and the last episode for the week. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And today we are going straight into what we are discussing, which is what are the merits, what are the benefits, why is it, are there merits or are there benefits for having our children go to school too early or round up school too early. All right, so let's look at how this affects our children when we get our children into school early or when we get them out of, secondary school early and on their way to the university. All right. So I'm sure this is a topic that everybody has an opinion about. Okay. Everybody has an opinion about this particular topic or this particular idea, the dangers of graduating too early or the merit of graduating too early and all of that. And depending on who you are listening to, people have different, perspective to this conversation. All right, so we will be diving into sorry, one second, share. We will be diving into, why, what we think, and it's not necessarily going to be opinion, it's going to be more like facts, right? Let's look at some facts, why this may do the children a service or disservice. Now, I'm going to be telling you, I'm going to be taking my position in this, okay? And my position is always going to be the position that serves the child. Give me a second, please. Give me a second. All right, sorry about that. So, in every time parenting conversations come up, or every time there is a need to, I don't want to call it take a side, right? Every time there is a need to dive into, something that people have different opinion about, which of course is very common in parenting. All right, there's always the popular, there's always what is popular and what is unpopular, and all of that. So every time we are dealing or looking at topics like that, I am always going to tilt towards what works for the child. I'm always going to tilt towards what serves the child. Because when we are talking parenting, it is your job, right, towards the benefit of the child. So the child is always the focal point when we are talking parenting. So when we are making decisions or we're thinking of what works or what doesn't work or what should work or what we should do, okay, in the area of parenting, it is what works for the children. It is what serves the children best. It is what is effective, what prioritizes the children that I'm going to be tilting to. My name is Maribeth Chima, and I am the founder of the Parenting Through Mentorship Academy and PTM Resources. Okay, and I am the proud matron of the Mastermind Circle. Now, the Mastermind Circle is a peer mentorship and accountability group that we run for young children and preteens. So basically, I serve children. All right, I prioritize children in my parenting conversation, especially young children and preteens. Okay, and I am going to be looking at how going to school early would affect your preteens, and of course we will dabble and talk a little about how when these children become older, okay, or they become just teenagers or young teenagers, and the next thing they are already thinking of getting out into a big wide world that is the university, a higher institution, or moving away from home, in a different capacity, moving away from home to an environment that is not exactly structured to ensure that there is mentoring and guidance. Okay, it's different from when your child goes to a boarding school. Going to a boarding school is totally different from going to a university or higher institution. All right, so now people will argue and talk about the benefits of getting their children out of school early. So let's look at one or two of the benefits that people hold on to when they're talking about leaving their children to go out, to start school early. Now, when children are taken out early, okay, and early now, I mean when our children have to go to school before they even become 6 months old, or they go to school before, they start some deep kind of learning or some structured learning that is beyond play in many environments. When they start learning sounds and learning letters and all of those things, okay, and learning arithmetic concepts, and trying to understand their world through structured learning. Okay, when that starts happening somewhere around 2 years old, and all of that, after 1, 2, and all of that, that's the period. That's early, what's early that we're talking about. Now, when this happens, of course, number one, it gives the parents the time and opportunity to focus on the other things that are calling for their attention. So many times, this is why parents take their children to school early, because the parent wants to give attention to other things that are calling for their attention, isn't it? So that's the number one benefit. That could be a benefit for someone. All right. So let's not ignore what could be a benefit, to someone. All right. The number two reason is that people believe that when children go out early, pending on the center where they are going to, the crash or wherever you take them to, the children begin to learn social behavior. They learn how to socialize with other people. All right. So yes, can they be in a can they be in a setting, or can they be in a room, be in a setting with other children, and begin to learn how to coexist, with other people in that setting? So that could be a benefit, right? For the parents. Number three, it helps them introduce detachment, right? It helps them introduce detachment, or the child coping without seeing the parents, right? Without having the parents, be with them all the time. So parents want their children to detach from them, quote and unquote, as early as possible. So when you take them to school that early, not having you or not seeing you or having you be there all the time, right, becomes default, because the child got to, start missing you very early, basically. So for some parents, this is a benefit, all right? This could be a benefit. What other benefits could it be? What other benefits could it be? Other people get to take the weight of catering, or attending to your children from you, and allow you breathe, allow you get a breather, and all of that. Now, this, we could say, for some parents, is a thing, because we have parents who actually do not go to work, or do not really run a business per se. They are at home and they still take their children to crashes. We have parents who can accommodate having the children with them, and yet these children end up, with caregivers, other caregivers, and all of that. We have parents who are really at home, and their children are practically in some crash, if you ask me, because the parents, just does the basic, for with the child, and the child is practically with a nanny or whoever it is that is with the child for the best part of the day. So if you check, this one is taking some of the burden of catering, or catering for a little human that is absolutely dependent on you. All right. So for some many reasons, parents will want to do this. Some parents just don't have power for plenty children matter. Others need this for their mental health, if they say, so these are some of the reasons why parents would want to get their children out of their homes as early as possible. Okay, you want to get to work and do other things. You need to make ends meet. You need to go to work. You need to go to your job. You need to run that business. You have so many businesses. You have so many things calling for your attention. And so let the children be out of the way in a safe place, and then I can roll with that. All right. So these are the benefits. Now let's look at the things that are not so beneficial. All right. Let's look at the danger of this, right? And so that at the end, as parents, you can put I mean, you can put this both things together. You can put this benefit that you're looking at, the benefit of having to send your child to school early, and the benefit of not doing that. So you can look at both of them and see if one is worth the other. All right. Number one of the dangers of sending children out early is that the child, is that the child actually does not have the emotional maturity to be out there. Right, the child doesn't have the emotional maturity to cope outside the environment or outside your home environment, because they are that young. No, so by the time you're taking your few months old baby, the child hasn't even finished getting attached to you. I'm sure you must have heard about the attachment theory, all right? And the kind of attachment that is right. Our children are supposed to develop a secure attachment, the attachment that makes them know, believe, and are certain that you will always be there for them. Okay, so that's knowledge, just knowing that if I am in pain and I sure that I'm in pain, someone will be there to care for me. If I am afraid and I show that I am afraid, someone will be there to care for me calmly, nicely, warmly, sweetly, and all of that. This same person is there. All right. If I am struggling, so whatever it is, at this point, remember that the child is absolutely dependent on us, right? And human beings happen to be one of those animals that have total dependency for a stretch of time on their caregivers. You know how some animals, they give birth to them and the animals can fly on their own. Fish, for instance, after the eggs is laid, the parent is gone, and then they hatch and they're on their own and all of that. So, but God has created humans to depend. The infant depends on the caregiver absolutely and completely for a period. All right, where they do not have the ability or the capacity to take care of themselves. Now, during this period, how we are present emotionally is what will help the child develop a secure attachment. And the experts have said that this is the best kind of attachment that we want. An attachment where our children are confident that will always be there for them. And this attachment will not come automatically just because you have birthed them. This attachment is going to come from how you show yourself present to how you show yourself available for their emotional needs, how you attend to their emotional needs, basically. So when your child is still in that phase where they are trying to build this attachment, and this is a time that you sweep them and take them to an environment where they would have to be with caregivers who have 5, 6, 10, 20 children to attend to. So what happens is your child does not get their needs met. At least these people are not emotionally present for the child as much as you would have been. And you know the thing about this attachment, it forms the foundation for the rest of the life of your child. It forms the foundation that will make or break your child when it comes to their emotions, when it comes to their ability to thrive as human beings, and all of that. Now, the way you show up for your children during this period of their lives will determine whether your child will trust you, okay? Whether your child will trust you and your child will get attached to you, in that positive manner, okay? Now, if you are not present, your child is going to seek other ways to cope without you. That's the thing about attachment. So if your child is not getting a secure attachment, there are other forms of attachment that your child will, adopt, because as human beings, we were created to survive. Okay? So if the child cannot thrive, if the child cannot get everything that they need, right, the child would naturally, or nature would make the child insist on living, insist on surviving. So the child will begin to create their own coping mechanism. All right. So the child will create their own coping mechanism because you see, this survivor, we must survive. All right. So even at that little age, the child begins to creates coping mechanism that will help them survive without all that they need, right? So the child gets to survive without all this amazingness that you can be to them, all the emotional needs that you could have met that will help them not just survive but thrive and be wholesome. Trust, believe, and be attached, knowing that you will always be there. And even when they fail or they make mistakes or something goes wrong, you will always be there. That whole idea of unconditional love. It is not by saying, it is by how present we have been by the side of the child, taking and being present for them emotionally. So when we pull them out, we break this, process of them developing that attachment when we take them out way too early. All right. So that is one of the demerits. Okay, so that is one of the demerits of doing this. All right. So another one is the child's cognitive readiness. So the child may not be ready for all that, especially if your child is growing in Africa or growing in, an environment where the educational need or that part of the child's life has not been deeply understood, right? And the system does not create safety for children at this level. Okay, so because the policies do not create safety for children at this level. So you go to schools where in year 2, teachers are already stretching. At age 2, teachers are already stretching children to do things that the children are not mentally or physically ready for. All right. So that's how you go to schools and you will hear people complaining, or you talk to parents. Okay. Because I work with parents, right? I work with children. So by extension, they're parents. All right. Then you see parents who are complaining about their 3-year-olds not being able to write 1 to 100. So we have this overrated expectations of what our children should be capable of. And most times it comes from a place of ignorance, because even some of the centers and the schools and the people that we leave our children with do not know what the expectations should be, or do not know what the child should be doing per time, because they don't even understand how the child brain works. Because a lot of times we have people who start schools and centers not because they understand, education, but simply because they have the ability. They can start a school. I have money, or I have some. This is how we see people start school in this part of the world. Okay, oh, madam needs to start doing something, and all of that. You can put the funds together. You have your husband's perhaps to support you, or whatever it is, and then someone goes, takes one short course here or something, and then boom, a school has started. So if there's no depth of knowledge, you will keep your child in a center where people who should advise you do not even know what they should be advising you around. And as a parent, you have not equip yourself or put yourself in that place where you can learn these things and understand these things, because any one of us can learn and understand. Especially if we have prioritized our children, then we should be learning. We should put ourselves in communities like these and even stretch this by reading books, attending courses, and paying for them. Parents, pay for knowledge. Knowledge is not cheap. Stop Googling and taking everything, different opinions. I hope that's what it is. You Google and then you just take an article that someone has written based on their perspective, or based on, whatever it is, and then you read them like, hey, I read it on Google or read it on where, or look for where you can get effective knowledge and sit and learn, basically, if your children are truly a priority, so that you know that you are serving your child's in every decision that you are making, your child is being prioritized. Okay, that's what we're talking about. So if you don't know these things, you will join the bandwagon in doing the things that will not serve your child. So your child is not ready cognitively. In fact, in many cases, they are not even ready physically. We are forcing children to write with thin pencils when the children are 2 and 3, and they've not even developed, the fine muscles, around their hands for them to achieve this skill. So we are pushing and insisting on things that the children are not naturally ready for. And then you are there making it a big deal. You will not, in fact, some of us by 3, our children already have lesson teacher. What is your lesson teacher at 3 going to be doing for your 3-year-old? Because you want them to write, you want them to write numbers, you want them to, all of these things. So no, your child is not cognitively ready. Your child is underage and will struggle with academic concepts. The child will struggle with, reasoning at a level, and so the child is unable to solve the kind of problems that the child will be given, especially in our kind of setting. All right, so that's it. The other one is the child probably doesn't even have the child has very limited social skills, right? I hope we know that all that social interaction, running around with other children, it's not social skills per se. All right. So your children can actually learn social skills right at home. So that thing that people say, oh, you need to get them out so that they will learn social skills. They don't need to be outside in a school yet to learn social skills. They can actually learn social skills at home. Your children can learn etiquette. Your children can learn social graces. Your children can learn, they can learn etiquette. They can learn social graces. They can learn how to communicate effectively, at home. Your children can learn through a lot of reading and role playing and all of that. And yes, who says that your children cannot also learn social interactions at home with the neighbors, when they go out to play and all of that. So it is what you incorporate into your system. So let no one lie to you that children who do not go to school will not learn how to socialize because they need to be in a classroom of 20 people for them to socialize. There's no juice to that talk. Okay, so yes, our children have to, so we can learn all of this. So they may not even have enough, social skill, as I said. So the children who start school early will find it difficult, right, to build healthy relationships. You teach them at home first to build healthy relationships, and you know that your child's first school is home. The home is our first school, actually. That is where you teach them these basic social skills. It is from home. So when you teach them the basic skills of working with their siblings, first of all, you teach them how to be kind to people. You teach them the magic words, how to teach, please, thank you, social graces. All of these are supposed to be taught at home. When your children have learned these social skills, okay, then your children can, because of the skills that they already have, it is now easy for them to build relationships with other people because they now have the skills that they need to build those relationships. A lot of times, no skills, they are too young to even understand these skills, and then we just plunge them in an environment where they have to now interact with other people. Now, while they are interacting with other people, they are too young. They don't understand these things. They start learning these skills through fighting and all of that. So sometimes they may not get those skills taught in the appropriate way, or they may not learn it in an effective way because they are already plunged in big in gatherings or in space with so many people at a time where they didn't even have this. All right, so these are the things that it becomes hard, right? It makes it hard for them to keep up with their peers. It makes it, and then of course, when you now take them early to an environment where the children are even older than them, that's another one. All right, so sometimes because we want our children to be in school as early as possible, and in some environments we don't even have, the school doesn't have room for the age that you're pushing your child in. The way some of us will go and insist, oh, my child is 4, you should be in primary 1. My child is 5, you should be in a certain class. And then you put the child in that class where all his classmates are 2 years, 3 years, and 4 years older than your child. It's such a sad situation. Now, the child is in that space where the child does not have the social skills that matches the level of these people. All right. Sometimes the child would have learned and been drilled, over the years to the point that he feels the child can understand, concepts, mathematics concepts and other concepts and all of that. So the moment we feel, oh, this child understands the concept at this level, you should be able to thrive at this level. But no, the child gets in there and you realize the child starts struggling. I was looking at a book. I read Bangwa. I've read that book in the past, but I looked at it recently again. And she shared in that book how she had been doing so well in primary school. She was such a high flyer, like fantastic high flyer, hitting all the pass notes, right? And all of that. And how she was tops in her class, and all of that. And even when she was moved to be with people who were tougher, it took her just a short time, to come back tops in her class and all of that. And so all of a sudden, when she was in year 4, the school made her, the school made her sit for, an exam that the kids in primary 5 or thereabouts were sitting for. Much older kids were sitting for. So they brought her and a few people in her class who were seen to be very intelligent to sit for those exams. And they actually sat for those tests and even did better than the children in the higher class. And this became the criteria. This became the sole criteria to agree that a child is not supposed to be where they are. They should be at a higher level. Because if you are doing well cognitively in that area, every other thing, will be ticked automatically. But it's not true. We can't use one aspect of a child's one dynamic of education to tick all the boxes in all the dynamics of education. By the way, I'm teaching a class today to young children and preteens. If you have children between 7 and 14, okay, I'm going to be teaching them, in a master class. We call the master class Set to Excel in School this school year. All right. You need your child to be in that master class at 6 p.m. today. I'm going to be taking these children, taking them through how they can prepare themselves to excel in school this year. I'm going to be talking to them about 9 dimensions of education where they do not have a choice but to thrive across all those 9 dimensions. I'm going to be sharing with these children what they can do to prepare for school before they get into school right now, what they can do to prepare for school every day, the habits that they need to incorporate and begin to lead themselves to achieve in order for them to excel. See, dear parents, your 7-year-old, it will shock you, but I promise you, with the right instructions, with the right people, walking the journey with your 7-year-old, can begin to take or make informed decisions that will put them on a path to excellence and becoming everything that God has created them to be. We should be gunning for raising children who are the best version of themselves at every point. If your child is 6, the child should be the best version of a 6-year-old. If your child is 8, the child should be a best version of an 8-year-old and of who they are. Her children have so many potential. They have so much that is locked inside them. But until they get the right stimulation, they get the right support, and they get the right environment and the right mentors, they are unable to unleash what is within them. So giving them and putting them in an advantage position, putting all of these things we have talked about in place, is how your child will thrive and begin to direct themselves. It's how your child will understand their role in their own lives. A lot of us are not interested in making our children understand the role that they play in their lives, because we want to play the role of conqueror. What would they call it? The lion, the conqueror, the champion. We want to be the champion, the lion, the conqueror. I don't know why we conqueror. I don't know why we do this. Whether it's because we feel that when we do this, our children will love us more, or when we do this, our children will give those speeches when we are 50 or 60, that we give those speeches of why it is my mom. If it wasn't my mom or my dad, no, we do not. They will give those speeches anyway. All we need to do is to give them the advantage and place them on a path to discover self-awareness and self-discovery, so that our children can lead themselves Begin to lead themselves as early as possible. The earlier your child can lead themselves, dear parents, the better for you and for that child. So let your goal, or let the goal for you be, how can I support my child to effectively lead themselves? How can I support my child to be the best version of themselves at every phase of their lives? What can I do to help my child become self aware and, of course, begin to look inward and see the potential, or recognize the potential that they have? How can I help my child to understand their role in their own life? And above all, who are the people I need to partner with, or who are the people I need to collaborate with to ensure that I am on track? To know, help the child know that they are so important that I am willing to have other people also support them, and then that we are willing to together create the environment for the child to thrive. This is what we owe our children more than anything else. And when this is the goal, you will find out that every other thing will sit. What they eat, what they dress, how we speak to them, how we show up for them emotionally, all this will become, they will sit excellently, because we are thinking in the right direction. A lot of times why we are not there, or why we're not achieving what we want with the children, is we are not, we are not thinking in the right direction. A lot of times we're not prioritizing the things that are important. All right. Number 4, it increases pressure on the children. The children become so pressured to be what they are not ready for yet, to be who they are not, to be what the expectation is at that level. Remember, the child is immature, or the child is underage for that thing. Now, there is pressure to be what nature has not prepared you for already. There is pressure to be more than you can even understand. So our children are made, quote and unquote, moving zombies. That's not supposed to be insulting. That's supposed to give you a picture of what's going on in the child's mind, or how the child is operating. What does a zombie do? He just follows. Okay, turn right, and then he goes. Turn left, and then he goes. What's everybody doing? He follows. What's everybody? So when we do this, that's what we make them. They begin to turn with every shiny thing. Oh, this is how to talk. They begin to talk like everybody's talking. This is how to act. They begin to act like everybody's acting. This is what you must do to be noticed. They begin to want to do that to be noticed. So these kind of children are easily influenced by their peers. These kind of children are easily driven, taken away from their values. These kind of children are easily lured into things that they do not understand. And that's because they do not have the capacity to, they do not have the ability to understand these things at that time. Yes, capacity, but the ability at that time, because they've not been equipped, or they are not matured enough for that kind of equipment, basically. And then, of course, the children will not now suffer the risk of overwhelm. So our children become overwhelmed. So you have your 8-year-old in a secondary school. She is going to school. He's coming back. You have dropped in the university. Secondary school. She comes back. How was school? Fine. You see the child all thin. Okay. In school, that's what happens when they come back. Or you see the child all withdrawn. It's good. That's how it happens, and all of that. You neglect all the signs, neglect everything. The child is overwhelmed. But a lot of times, because these kind of children are even raised to just follow and do what it is that everyone else is doing. Follow and do what it is that you have said they should do. So sometimes they are not even in tune with what they are really going through. They're not even in tune with their emotions. They do not even have, they don't even know how to connect with that emotion and express it, to articulate an expression, basically, that will help you understand what it is that they are truly going through. And so we think they are okay. Meanwhile, the child is overwhelmed, the child will suffer burnout, they begin to struggle. In the story that I was telling you, that Irene shared, she talked about when she got to secondary school, the struggle started. She was way younger than everyone, the people in her class. She came after she graduated after primary 4. It was from primary 4 she went to secondary school. Now she's there with people who are who came in as bona fide, secondary school people who had finished, you know what I mean? She was probably there at age 9, going on 10 or something like that. And she was in a classroom with 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds who already know their way around, know their way around these basic things that they need and all of that. And so that's it. She suffered, being bullied by her seniors. And this time it was even a boarding school. We do that. We now send them to boarding schools, at the stage. Because somewhere we say when they go there, they will learn independence. Their parents. Your children don't learn independence, but say in boarding school. Your children go to boarding school and manifest what it is that they've learned at home. Now, when they get there, they begin to struggle if they don't already have this maturity and independence. So they get to learn it by copying. It's like you doing things under duress. So when you do things like that, you will cope. As I said at the beginning, we were created to survive. So you will survive by creating a coping mechanism. So your child will learn how to cope in that place. But that learning is not deep. That learning comes with a lot of trauma. That learning comes with a lot of baggages. That learning comes with a lot of overwhelm. So the child may be performing, but the child is not learning. The child may be performing, but the child is not internalizing that learning. So your child would likely just wade through the system, okay, when they realize they don't have a choice. And we don't want to raise children who will go through any part of their lives knowing that they do not have a choice. It's one of the wrongest things, one of the most disservice that you can do to your child, raising a human being to live each day knowing that they are settling, knowing that they don't have a choice. When this kind of people rebel, when this kind of people push back, when this kind of people decide to take their revenge on you, on the family, or on the system, it's usually there. All right, so parents, this is what we're going to stop for today. So yes, all you need to get your child into my masterclass is to order our new books. Yes, we have 2 amazing books that your child should read, by the way. If you have children 7 plus to 13, 14, they should read these 2 books, Destined for Greatness and Wisdom Stories for Champions. Amazing, amazing, amazing books. Apart from that, we have other books. So we have about 9 books right now in our Stories for Champions. So that is Destined for Greatness, an amazing book for your 7-year-olds, right? Up to your 13 or 14-year-olds. All right, this one also, Wisdom Stories for Champions, amazing, beautiful books. So order these 2 books and your child gets in. The both of them are 8,000 naira right now. There was a time we sold them for 6, you didn't take advantage. 7, you didn't take advantage. So it's 8,000 naira, and you can pick it in your location around Nigeria. It's also on Amazon, all right, and all of that. So order these books and get your child into my class. So these books are just 8K. The class is worth 7,500. Apart from that, you get 2 amazing guides that I will be sending to you, the parents. One on how to support your child to learn independently, and then our back to school guide. Both of them are also worth 7,500. So you get packs worth 15,500 for free just because you ordered these 2 amazing books. All right, we also have awesome books. All right, so this is Unlocking Excellence. All right, how your children can excel in the classroom and outside the classroom. Then our bedtime stories for champions. This one will open your child's mind and tell your child that they can, because they can. All right, we have Christmas stories for champions. This one shares legacy and shares, family bond. We're just telling stories of what Christmas was like for us growing up. It's not even a Christian book. It's more like a traditional Nigerian book talking about the North, the South, the East, and what we do for Christmas. All right, then we have playtime stories for champions. Even your 0 to 12-year-olds can use this book. It has got activities that you can do. I'm always about parents bonding and sharing their convictions with their children. So this book is such a lovely companion. And yes, our children to start learning to reflect and build their emotions. We have the Skill Up Champions Journal. It's for the entire year. This is what you want to give to your child, even as the year comes to an end. And then lastly, we have Young and Money Smart. Yes, your child can be young and your child can be really smart. All right, when it comes to financial education and financial intelligence. So, thank you for joining me today. These are all books for children that you can get. We also have two amazing books for parents that you may want to, if you are a young parent, especially, you may want to read my book, my parenting book. The Parent Mentor. Awesome book for parents, people who are just becoming parents, people who have not had children yet. It tells of how we supported our child in the first 10 years of his life. Awesome, amazing, amazing book. And the last one is this documenting tool where you can document your parenting journey with your children, their special events in their lives, milestones in their lives. Write notes to them. It's got space for you to write notes to your children. Okay, notes that you can drop for your children. So all that space is for you. Okay, dear teenager, this is a lovely written note from us to your teenager, and then you have a chance to write them all the lovely notes. If you belong to the inner circle, TIPB inner circle, yeah, that's so this is it. This is where I write all my letters to my children. All right, this is where I write my letters to my children. So even the letters that they take, that I put in their school bag when they go home to school and they find out, when they come back, we take a page of this and then we clip the letter right there. You know what this is, isn't it? It's a legacy. My children will have this when they're 10, 12, 18, 20, 25, and my children will go back to this to help them even when they become parents. So I did it for you. Guys, I did it for you. And it's so durable. This one will last. Your child will even pass it on to their parents, on their own children. All right. So thank you very much, dear everyone, for joining me. I'll see you on Monday when we come back on another episode on How Can I Support My Child series. Have a fantastic weekend. Bye. And the class is at 6 p.m. today. Let your child join us. Oh, I didn't even put the banner. Now here is the banner. You can just take a screenshot, okay, or just reach out to us. Our numbers are always there. Reach out to us on how you can join us, right? Just reach out in the comment section, send us a message. Our number is public, see, 2-in-1 set. You can screen grab this right away. Pay to 122607006, Zenith Bank, PTM Resources. Pay your AK, send it, and then we will send you the link to join us. Thank you very much and have a fantastic rest of the day. Bye. Bye-bye now. Bye, bye, bye.